Elie Mystal hits the nail on the head, something I've been preaching over and over and over again. First of all, I want to remind folks, in this country, we learned in high school, in middle school, that America has this stuff called separation of powers, which is true, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. And they try to make you, they define it as a co-equal branch of government. That was never, ever true. This country was always designed with a Supreme Court that is the ultimate power in the court, because to undo what a Supreme Court does is next to impossible. Anyhow, Elie Mystal gets it. And let's go ahead, listen to him, and then we'll take it on the other side, because there's much more that we need to say on this issue.
You say there are things the federal government can do right now to protect these rights as well. What exactly can they do? What should they be doing?
Okay, so there's the first thing out of the box from the Biden administration needs to be providing abortion services at federal facilities, right? We can do this by leasing the federal facilities to people willing to provide abortions out of their own pocket. That should get around the Hyde Amendment. There are federal facilities in every state, including the states who are about to force women to give birth against their will. And that is the first thing out of the box from the Biden administration. Now, Biden indicated that he would make abortion medication available. He didn't really say how. He didn't really say when. Again, that's an easy fix. He should, at federal facilities, like if you can go to your CVS, you should be able to now go to your post office and get your medication, because, again, there are federal facilities in every state. So Biden has a lot of power of things that he can do, even within the Hyde Amendment, to say nothing of repealing the Hyde Amendment. Biden was a 3-decade supporter of the Hyde Amendment until he ran for president for the third time. Apparently now he doesn't support the Hyde Amendment, but in last year's budget, because the Hyde Amendment has to be re-upped every budget cycle, they tried to take the Hyde Amendment out. Republicans said no. Biden caved. So maybe this time for the 2023 budget, Biden could not cave and actually repeal the Hyde Amendment, which would further unleash federal monies to and abilities to provide the services that the Supreme Court has taken away. Now, obviously, executive branch protections are limited because the next election, who knows who's president, and those all go away. So, yes, there needs to be codification of Roe by Congress, but let's not forget what makes people think that this radical conservative Supreme Court, which just thumbed its nose at 50 years of settled legal precedent, would allow a congressional law protecting Roe v. Wade. I'll tell you the answer. They won't. They will overturn that law before breakfast. So if you want to get serious about protecting women's rights and the rights of the LGBT community and the rights of non-believers, then you have to expand the Supreme Court. So when I hear Jen Psaki, the press secretary, say that Biden's against court expansion, and he has been clear about that, what I hear is Biden is not willing to do what is necessary to actually fix the problem. Because as long as you let these 6 conservative theocrats control the country, you will get decision after decision after decision rescinding the rights of everybody in this country who is not a straight, white, cis, hetero male or a Glock.
Now, it is important for us to understand, when Republicans prepare for a cause, they are patient, but they are effective because they grind it over and over again. They don't sit back. I mean, they started this process 50 years ago, and every opportunity that they get, they take it. Let's remember, under President Obama, Merrick Garland should have been on that Supreme Court. Why did Merrick Garland not get there? Because when the Republicans have power, whether they have total power or partial power, they use all the power that they have to maximum gain. They didn't have the right to appoint a Supreme Court justice under Obama, but what they had the right to do was to ensure that Obama would never get a progressive majority or even a moderate majority on Congress, so they held the seat open. When President Trump came into office, President Trump, who did not win the majority of the American vote, he appointed somebody to replace Merrick Garland, which was the stolen Supreme Court seat. and he got 2 other seats to appoint. So 3 seats appointed by a president that did not win most of the Americans' votes. Secondly, we must remember that when Bush appointed his appointees, the G.W. Bush that is, that he didn't win the popular vote. So we have a virtually illegitimate court coming down with policies that most Americans say they are against. If that isn't minority rule, something that we've discussed many times on Politics Done Right. Minority rule. In other words, what occurs? Congress passes a law and the people who are in the minority just say, nope, you can't have it. So we have a Senate that is run by a false majority that cannot execute until most of the minority say, okay, it's good for us also. And then we have a Supreme Court that was created, appointed by presidents who didn't win the majority of the vote. So here's the deal. And I hope you listen to what Elie Mystal had to say at the end. If you think just holding on to Congress, holding on to the Senate, and passing laws to codify that women have their rights, that we shouldn't have to codify this distance into our democracy, but to codify it, the only thing is going to happen is immediately as Congress passes laws, an illegitimate Supreme Court will simply say those laws are unconstitutional. It is the separation of powers that I spoke about in the beginning doesn't really exist in or the co-equal branches of government that we talk about does not really exist. A Congress goes ahead and pass laws. The president affirms it with signing that law, and six conservatives. Well, actually, we only need 5 conservatives on a 9-body Supreme Court can simply override what most people want. It has to be fixed. So when Elie Mystal says we also need to expand the Supreme Court to undo what has occurred with an illegitimate court that was appointed by less than the popular vote in America, that needs to be mitigated. Folks, we have a lot of work to do. Now, my problem now is I don't see the urgency in the Democratic Party to tell Americans this is what's happening. You are losing your country. You are losing your country, especially if you are not one of the dominant parts of this country. You are losing your country. You have to get up and fight. It is as if, well, that really can't happen. And every time we think something is not going to happen, they take it one step further. Death by 1,000 cuts. Death by 1,000 cuts. Folks, it is time to act. It is time to act. It is time to elect progressives who are willing to fight and remove neoliberals who are simply trying to do what's necessary to not beat the system. Folks, it is time for us to execute in this next election and elect people that won't tell you we can't do that. Democrats right now have the power to do much. They decide not to do it. We need to elect more, increase the numbers to give some spine to those who need it. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.